So welcome to Samarang. You've just finished giving the opening keynote address at the ACCCRN Learning event. Tell us, why is resilience so important for cities in particular?
The reality is that already half the world's population lives in cities. By 2050, 3/4 of the world's population are going to live in cities. Most of those cities, or many of those cities, are on the coast. They're going to be affected by sea level rise. Many of the cities are already affected by flooding, by heat waves. And cities are places that, although they're amazing centres of opportunity and economic development, they're also places where stresses accumulate and shocks occur. If we're going to tackle climate change, cities is a pretty good starting point.
I wonder also if you could just say a word about your own organisation, Arup's involvement in the ACCCRN programme over the last 8 years.
Arup is a global independent firm that specialises in cities, in the built environment. We comprise about 12,000 planners and engineers. But I made a decision about 8 years ago, having been working in Asia for 2 or 3 years following the Indian Ocean tsunami, that actually the skills that existed in my organisation were important to tackle some of these developing country challenges. And so I set up a special bit of Arup International Development, and we only work with development organisations trying to bring some of this expertise in the built environment in terms of place-making, city-making, to bear on some of these problems. It's very exciting because on a programme like ACCCRN, there's been such a diversity of partners that where we brought that expertise, we've learned as much from the expertise of the NGOs and other actors that we've been working with.
So you've been, as I said, you've been working with the programme over the last 8 years. How has you seen the issue of urban climate change resilience? How has that evolved over that time?
8 years ago, in fact 5 years ago, the term urban climate change resilience didn't even exist. I think that actually the amount of change that's happened gives me a lot of hope for the future. We've recognised globally that the majority of the world's population live in cities. We've recognised that climate change is real. COP21, we reached a consensus that this is one of the defining agendas of the 21st century and it requires global action. So for me, urban climate change resilience sort of brings those two critical issues together.
You finished your keynote address by looking 8 years into the future. Where do you see urban climate change resilience looking ahead?
I think that urban climate change resilience is a pioneering agenda that echoes a global shift in how we think about urban development. Over the last decades, urban development globally has been characterised by siloed sectoral planning processes, by the dominance of government and centralised processes. And we're waking up to the fact that this doesn't work. It leaves thousands of people, millions of people, living in informal settlements that are left behind the curve of economic prosperity. I think that in the Asia region, where there are so much urban development is planned, that urban climate change resilience offers a new agenda, one that's inclusive, one that's sustainable, as well as one that tackles the future challenges of climate change.
Silva, thank you very much.
Thank you.